El Diego, Peter. What was that about?
Handy, got it.
High five. And I remember the boy standing on the back of my knee, and I heard a snap. I can't change the past. I can't change that tackle.
It is that ruthless, in the
doggy
football
dog.
world.
Welcome to our interview series, gentlemen. Football in the trenches. We're going to seek to profile interesting personalities in the game. Today we have Peter Leven with us. Thank you for joining us, Peter. We in Football with the Trenches, we want to have a chat with people who have had a rather unusual path to their career, and Peter certainly qualifies for that. Just a short note: this stream is sponsored. This recording is sponsored by Game Insight, a new social media that is a career-building education platform for footballers and coaches throughout the English-speaking world. You can visit gameinsight.sport. The link will be below for more information. Thank you for watching. And I have with me here Jesse Edge and David Wernersson and Peter Leven.
So welcome to today's podcast with Jesse, David and Toni. Today we're here with the former professional football player and current coach, Peter Leven. Peter is a former Scottish youth international. He has over 200 English Football League appearances and 65 appearances in the Scottish Premier League with Kilmarnock, after gaining a reputation for himself at Rangers, where he was in the squad of the first team, once including the world-famous Old Firm derby against Celtic. Peter is now a coach in the Russian second tier with Orenburg, fighting for promotion after winning the Belorussian Championship Cup and 2 Super Cups with Dynamo Brest, who in 2018 had the late footballing legend Diego Maradona take over as the honorary chairman of the club. Welcome to the podcast, Peter.
Thank you.
Well, I have to get started on the last part. El Diego, Peter. What was that about?
It was after the World Cup in Russia. I seen it on social media. Diego Maradona is going to be the honorary chairman of our club. I think there was a connection with our president at the time in Dubai, and I think Maradona was living in Dubai at the time. And I don't know how it came about, but he ended up becoming honorary chairman at the club. He arrived in Brest in a private plane, and then he got put into this Hummer stroke double-decker bus and got paraded around the city like the footballing god that he was, and the world just went crazy. It was a great for the club, Dynamo Brest, because nobody really knew much about the club. And obviously to have Maradona linked with your club, it just puts you on another level.
Of course.
Did you guys have an audience?
Yes, he came in. He came in a couple of times to speak to the players, spoke to the staff, and he was about for a while. Then he disappeared. he went back to Dubai. They were planning on bringing him back. He was looking at houses and stuff, and then he took a job in South America.
That's it.
That was it. That was it. I think he always wanted to be a manager, but you could tell straight away that his enthusiasm for the game and the love of the game that he had. He was so passionate. He gave everybody a hug. He just spoke about football non-stop, and you could see the passion in him. But you always felt that if a job came up, he was going to take it, and especially in South America, where he's most famous for,
Yeah, of course. It was unbelievable to work that close to such a legend.
Oh, it was amazing just to see him. And obviously, I couldn't really remember him as a player. But I remember watching a documentary recently on Channel 4 about him being in Italy and stuff. And then you think, wow, what a genius. What a player. And just to be able to be in the same changing room as him and just to hear him speak, it was surreal.
I mean, being Scottish, did you take a special
hand of God?
Hand of God, yeah.
High five. Sorry to all the English out there.
Yeah.
Well, impressive. Well, speaking of like genius football players, you were also like a genuine Gaza fan, and then you were also labeled as the next Gaza by the British press. How did you cope with that pressure as a young player?
I spoke about that the other day. I remember at 15, just about turned 16, I had a few offers from down south also. Man City offered me a very good contract. Man City were not the Man City that they are now. Man City were in the Championship, but they offered a very good deal at my age to go down south. But my club was always Rangers because I lived 100 yards from the stadium. You know, I grew up season ticket holder since I was 4. So there was no way I was ever going to any other club in the world apart from Rangers. So to go there and it just got better and better. Yep, we had a thing every week called the Rangers News, and it was like a weekly news magazine with all the youths and the reserves and the first team. And yes, I was getting labelled as the next Barry Ferguson stroke Gaza. You know, he's the next one coming through, which was nice. I was to me, I was just totally focused. That was my dream, just to get into the first team, to make my family proud. And that didn't interest me what the people say. I was just totally focused on football.
Cool. Yeah, but I'm guessing it could be like a big thing during that time to be compared with such a big player.
Oh, at the time that the Rangers had a lot of money, then they had players like Barry Ferguson, Gascoigne, Laudrup, Frank de Boer, Ronald de Boer, Claudio Caniggia, who played up front with Maradona, Andre Kanchelskis, Van Bronckhorst, Claudio Reyna,
Ali McCoist.
Alan McCoist. The team then was incredible, and there were even Tore Andre Flo. We signed Tore Andre Flo from Chelsea for 12 million.
Yeah.
Now, for a Scottish club to spending 12 million on a player is a lot. So to compete and train with these people was a dream come true, and you don't realise until you leave and you look back and thinking, wow, I had a chance there to be a proper Rangers player.
So now we're going to go into some quite rapid fire questions. So there's just going to be, short questions, short answers kind of theme. So we're going to crack on with that straight away. Who was your favorite player growing up?
Gaza. I always looked up to Gaza. Obviously, when he was at England and then he came to Rangers, I just thought he was an absolute genius.
The best manager you've played for?
I'd probably go Roberto Di Matteo. It was his first job when I was at MK Dons in England in League One. He came in and he just had he had a presence about him because obviously he's an ex-player and top footballer, but the way he conducted his teams to play with relaxed style and play with a smile. I always used to say to me, Peter, smile when you play. Yeah. Enjoy every game as if it's your last. So I always took that from him, and I just thought his mannerism and everything was really good for me.
The best player that you've played with?
There's been a lot of Rangers, but I'm going to go later on in my career at MK Dons also. I played with Didi Hamann.
Okay.
Ex-Liverpool and German international. He was a player's coach at MK Dons, and I remember playing one game away to Peterborough, and I think we had about 85% possession, and he played one touch. It was incredible how he just controlled the game with one touch, and I was like, wow, this guy's on another level. He couldn't run, and I couldn't run either, but I did hit most of his running. But he just played it so simple, and it was so effective. Now I try to see that players nowadays, like, you're doing things you don't need to do. Just play simple, and it's so effective.
The next question we've got is the best player that you've coached so far.
There's been a lot. I'm going to give you two. Jordan Jones. I brought him from Middlesbrough to Kilmarnock, and then he's progressed on to playing for Rangers, and then he's went on to he's now at Sunderland. That'd be one young boy. But I'll also give a mention to Sergei Kislyak, who was in Dynamo Brest with me. Now, Sergei must be 33, 34. Top footballer, but still wanted to learn. Still came and did video with me every once a week. Still did extra training with me every week. I'm thinking, this guy's played in Russian Premier League, played international level, European qualifiers, everything, but still wanted to learn at that age. And I thought that was fantastic.
For sure. That's very important as a player, to keep improving, to maintain an open-mindedness to the game and to keep improving.
Yep.
We've seen a few of your highlights on YouTube, and, we've seen some bangers in there. What's the best goal, in your opinion, of what you've scored?
Yeah, obviously the halfway line one will probably be up there, but I scored one with my right foot, which I chipped the goalkeeper. from the angle of the box, because after my knee surgery on my right foot, I never did as much power from the ball on the ground. So I always used to choose to try and bend it. So I kind of chipped and bend it into the top corner of my right foot from just the corner of the box, which was quite special as well.
Yeah, but what a goal that was against Fort Vale, by the way.
That was the first time my daughter had seen. Well, she was like 8 months. That was the first time she was at the game as well. So, and my dad was there from Scotland. He came down, so it was quite special.
But it was voted as was it the second best goal of the year? Or the top?
Second, I can't believe I never won.
Unbelievable, wow.
But to be fair, I've tried it a lot in my career. I always think goalkeepers like to wander off the line, and I just always like to have a quick shot.
But to be fair as well, when you've won the ball as well in your own half and then gone and done that.
That was nice.
What's your favourite meal?
Oh, I've got to give the wife recognition for a spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah. Okay. Not a haggis, yeah?
No.
Oh, come on, Jesse.
He thinks I'm sitting here in my kilt, doesn't he?
I think so. Let's not go there.
We can only see the top half. Huh? Have you got a favourite film?
I like a kind of trilogy. I like a Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, and Star Wars and stuff. Obviously, Braveheart will go a little bit patriotic. We'll say Braveheart. I like a bit of Gladiator, Russell Crowe. So I like them kind of movies.
It's decent, that.
Cool. Epics.
Yeah.
You mentioned Gaza as your favourite player growing up. What about your favourite Scottish international?
Oh, it's got to be Super Ali McCoist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a legend on and off the pitch. What a guy. Honest to God. Amazing. So funny. But what a player as well.
If you could coach any other sport, what would it be?
Golf, 100%.
Yeah, you're a bit of a golfer, yeah?
Oh, I love my golf.
Don't see yourself.
Love my golf. And I think I'm in the wrong country to play golf. There's no golf courses here. None in Belarus and none in, well, where I am now in Orenburg. Not one.
Try Greenland. Sorry, Greenland.
And if you weren't involved in football, what do you think you would have ended up doing?
Nah, I would always been a football player. I was so determined. There was nothing else in my head. I think when people start thinking about plan B, plan A will never work. I think you only have to go that way and keep going and keep going and keep going. And that was, I had never any other thought.
Yeah.
Even when I had the injury, I just, even the doctor says, I think you should think of another profession. At 17, I was like, nah, no chance. I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah. For the last question in the quick fire, what's your favorite Scotch?
I don't know. I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. I know my dad says I'm very strange that I don't drink alcohol when I'm his son. So I don't know.
Which label looks the prettiest then?
I'd probably say Glenfiddich. A lot of people like a bit of Glenfiddich. Big Billy Thompson, the goalie coach at Kilmarnock, used to drink one. It was expensive.
Yeah.
The smell of it just, oh. Not for me. Not for me.
You're a real pro then, Peter.
Yeah, respect.
Especially in Eastern Europe, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's not that I was a top professional. I just didn't like the taste of it. Anything really. I never had a fondness for alcohol. I wish I'd like. Listen, I would love to have a meal with a glass of red wine, but it does nothing for me. You know, I don't like the taste, or I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Respect, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm a fake Scotsman.
Peter, this is what was your experience in Belarus, winning the first league title in the club's history, coming out of nowhere, ending up with a team in provincial Belarus, close to the Polish border. Tell us a little bit about that. That's really interesting for our audience.
So we kind of took over with 8 games to go at the end of the season. And we had a chat with the man. The first game was in the Europa League. The first leg, the old manager lost 4-0. And we took over the second leg. And Marcel, the manager with me now, he says, what do you want to do? I says, well, you can't go gung-ho. We can't go and attack because they're a good team. We're 4-0 down. We could end up getting another 4-0. So let's just be compact and just win the game. So we did well. We won 1-0. And we built on that. And I said, listen, if we get a chance next year, with a good pre-season under our belt, a little bit of structure, a little bit of tempo into the play, a little bit of more shape and stuff, we can do all right. So we went away to Dubai for 2 weeks, Spain 2 weeks, and Turkey. So we had like a 6-week pre-season in the heat, which is fantastic because you can slow things down, you can say, listen, I want you to be here, tactical things, but also we implemented a lot of tempo into the training. And the players said it was one of the hardest pre-seasons they've ever done. But if you have a good pre-season, it sets you up for the full season.
Yeah,
So
well, that's that base, right? That's
Yes.
where everything kind of.
But we didn't want them to get them to 100% straight away. We want to get them to 100% within 4 months, you know, because you end up going down after 6 months, you know. So it was a progress all the way up. And again, we lost one game all season in all competitions, which was, yes, there's some games we got lucky. I'm not going to lie. We got a little break here with 1-1-0, but you earn your luck, don't you? We're working hard, and it's a tough league. It really is, because you've got Bati, Borisov, who have been dominant for the last 13 years, who've won the league 13 years in a row, who've had the Champions League money. They've been in the group stages, Champions League and Europa League. So to take a club who have never been anywhere near the top three to have, I think I've had 76 points, and we were 6 points ahead at the end, and we won that. We won the Super Cup. It was an amazing feeling. I didn't realise how good it was until I left, thinking, wow, you know.
I mean, it's still definitely something people talk about to this day. So, how is it like to train Belarusian players coming from Scotland? What was your modus operandi for quickly getting on the ground mid-season?
Tempo and training is so much. You've got to replicate a game. So what we'll do, some days we'll do power, some days we'll do speed, some days we'll do reactions, just breaking the game down from a Saturday during the week and adding tempo. Even if you're working for 20 minutes, it has to be high intensity. Everything we did was tempo. A lot of things we did as well was unit training. So I might take the defenders, Marcel might take the midfielders, and the other coach, Andre, will take the strikers, you know, and we'll just build it up, and then we'll add the defenders and midfielders together, and then we'll add. So it's just building it all up, but getting them to enjoy it, you know, just to realise, listen, football, to be a football player, you know, Jesse, it's the best job in the world. And just made them realise, like, you only get one shot at this. And they bought into what we were doing. Yes, they moaned that it was hard, the training and stuff, but we told them at the end of the day it'll be worth it. And to be fair, they still texted saying it was the best team that they've ever been involved in.
How is it like working in Russia, Peter, compared to Belarus? What was the biggest difference from Britain?
From Britain, there's more structure. There's more. I'd say in Britain, most clubs have a philosophy, an ethos. When you go into a club, this is what we do. This is what our brand of play we're going to promote within the academy system to get players in the first team. But here, it's get promotion. That is it. They must get into the Premier League. So, as you know, at this level, you need to win games. Yes, it's nice to play 65% possession, 20 shots in goal, but at the end of the day, you must have 3 points. And that's what it feels like more here than it did in Brest. In Brest, we had like a clean slate to implement what we want to do. Maybe it's different because I've came halfway through the season. I came in January, you know. It already started. But the main thing they keep on saying, we must get to the Premier League.
Interesting. Like we're going back a little bit compared to Britain. So I just wondering, where did you grow up and within which environment, like area, family, and so on?
I grew up in Ibrox, round the corner from Ibrox Stadium, predominantly Rangers area. Football and family. My uncle was a player. My dad never played. Always had a football in my hand. Didn't like school. Didn't like school. And I was just so driven to be a footballer. So driven. My dad never pushed me. He would always keep me humble and keep me on the ground. Even now, he still does. I remember a game, I think I scored 5 when I was under 10s. And he says, you did okay today. You could have scored 8. You know, he never let me get off the ground. You know, he kept me humble. And even, I know you're going to talk about my uncle as well. My uncle played for Celtic, and He played for the Republic of Ireland in the World Cup, USA '94. He's always been supportive. He's travelled to England from Scotland to come and watch me and stuff. And he even came to a Rangers game when I was on the bench at 16. Oof. He came and sat in the Rangers end as an ex-Celtic player.
Did they let him live?
Yes, yeah. I think he had a hat and a scarf on up to here.
All right.
No, but going back to a little bit about what you said, I think that's really important for, young players, especially nowadays, when so much money is thrown around, especially in like the academy system around the UK, to be surrounded by the right people and in the right family as well, to kind of keep you humble, because when a lot of younger players get money thrown at them from a young age, going through puberty, there's obviously a lot of outside influences in football that people get in trouble and caught up with. So I think it's massive for, youth players to surround themselves in the right kind of circle and be involved with the right people.
Totally agree. Too many players get lost in the system. Too much money early on. Agents saying this, saying that. I think if you have a good family and support base around about you, you can do well. I just wish it was like the old days. When I was an apprentice at Rangers, I had £62 a week.
Yeah.
And every day I had to wear shirt and tie. We had to report to Ibrox Stadium, shirt and tie, every day. And we would train. In the morning, we would be doing the boots, getting the first team kit ready for the players coming in. We'd have the manager's breakfast. We'd go and train. We'd come back. We'd clean the boots, clean the bus. It made you humble. It made you want to work to be in the first team. Now players don't have to do boots. They don't have to do jobs like kits. They don't do apprenticeship anymore. Yeah. I think it's taken away that desire for them to go and achieve because it's been given them too early. And they've lost that appetite and hunger. And
it's like they're kind of making all this money that could set up their family for life without actually achieving anything yet as well.
We've had players when I was at Kilmarnock. We had players on loan, and the money that they were on from a second team in Premier League clubs is a joke and incredible. Never played a first team game and they're on ridiculous money.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just jealous.
Me too. No, but I think that's some kind of generation question, which is also like difficult to say, of course, when you're a little bit older. But still, we have the same. When I was a club director in a Swedish club, and when a men's team on Division 2, and we just get promoted. And then we had a new player for the under 19s, and he was like, "Where's my booth? Why aren't you paying for them?" And it was like, "Come on, do you know which kind of level you're on?" And that's a question that pops up quite often, even in very low divisions.
And for the record, David is 57.
Exactly.
Just had a 30-minute conversation with a young boy. Technically fantastic. He's on. We got him from Zenit St. Petersburg, but work ethic and he comes in. We meet 11 o'clock every day. He walks in at 10:58. I'm thinking, why are you not in early? It's sunny outside. We train on our stadium. It's artificial. Go and get a ball for 20 minutes and just practice with the ball, or go on the bike, come in early, get a mat, do something. 11 o'clock, he's here. After training, he's away. So I had a half an hour PowerPoint presentation, just a realization check to show him, and I showed him some videos of Jamie Vardy about how much his work rate, and he's on £150,000 a week. That's why he's on that, because he works every day, every game at 100%.
No, but he went up the tiers.
Yeah. He came from nothing.
Yeah.
Came from nothing.
What was Rangers academy like comparatively? I think there's a lot of Rangers fans in the English speaking world, so it's an interesting question. What you said about the suit and tie and kilt, and how was the
kilt? Did you see shirt and tie and kilt?
Yeah. You caught it. You caught it. I was testing you. No, but
fishing.
Yeah.
What was the emphasis? What was the emphasis on training? Was there additional classroom learning? What was the academy like?
No, there wasn't much classroom learning. Rangers, you win.
Yeah.
At every level. At every level. A draw's not good enough. You win. You must win at every level. But it started to get more of an academy when Dick Advocaat came in to be the first team manager.
Yeah.
And then we brought on a Dutch academy manager And this is going to be one of your questions, how I kind of started thinking about coaching. And I remember playing a practice match in training, and one of the boys, remember his name, Scott Matheson, missed a header from 2 yards out. Should have scored, missed a header. And the Scottish coach says, drop down and give me 20 press-ups. And the Dutch coach says, why? Give him 20 headers. Why give him press-ups? Give him 20 headers to improve. And that just made me think, I'm thinking, I like that.
Yeah.
Why punish him in press-ups? Make him better in heading ability. So that just made me think.
Yeah, of course. That's a good little anecdote to kind of back that up. Obviously, you had instance in your career that obviously, affected some things. You had a terrible injury to your knee. What kind of happened there? How did that happen?
So just before that, I was training a lot with the first team. I was on the bench, 16, 17, 4 or 5 times. I think Dick Advocat really liked me. And then it became pre-season, and I played for the second team against Tranmere. And I remember the ball coming out to me, and it went wide, and I done a little kind of trick down the wing, and I fell. And I remember the boy standing on the back of my knee, and I had a snap, and I thought I'd broke my leg. That was my first thought. And I looked, and I thought, no, my leg's not broken. I'm thinking, what was the snap? It must have been my shin pads. It snapped.
Yeah.
But then I didn't realise later it was my ACL, my cruciate ligament that I had snap. Didn't know what an ACL was. As a 17-year-old boy, you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And I remember going back, I think it was like 2 days later, because the swelling was big. I couldn't get a scan because they wanted to get right into the detail of the knee. So I had to wait 2-3 days for the swelling to go down. And then I remember coming back to Murray Park. They built the academy then. And I said it was the ACL. Like, I still didn't really know what it was. And I first person I met was Kenny Miller.
Yep.
He was at Rangers at the time. He says, how is it, mate? And I said, my ACL's gone. And he just kind of put his head down. He's like, sorry. I'm thinking, that must mean it's bad. And I didn't realise how bad it was until we went down to London, to Harley Street. I was going to fly to Steedman in Colorado, top knee surgeon there, but they flew me to London because it'd be easier to go back and forward for checkups, Yeah. And the surgeon actually did Paul Gascoigne's knee, and it wasn't just a cruciate. I'd done the meniscus, I'd done the bone, I'd done a few things in the knee, and he said, I think you should think of another profession. And that kind of was like, wow. I wasn't good at school. I never stuck in at school because I only wanted to be a footballer. Came back to the academy training ground, and the Rangers doctor sat me down, and I remember him also saying, it doesn't look good for him. And my dad was getting angry. He's like, why are you telling this to a 17-year-old boy, And that made me want to prove people wrong. And it was near enough 2 years until I came back.
Yeah. So going on from that injury, how did you deal with that psychologically, and what did you learn from it? I know earlier you said there was no plan B for football at the time, but obviously, such a big event to happen to such a young player. There was obviously a lot of stresses from that, and how did you react to that situation?
I think because it happened so early on in my career, I had time on my side, but 2 years was difficult because, it can be lonely in the gym sometimes when your players are out there, your teammates are out there training and playing. And then you start to see some players getting in the first team and then making their debut. And mentally, that's like, you're happy for them, but you're thinking, why is that not me? Why did I get that injury? What if I just put the ball back in the box and never took that extra touch? And there's these things going through your head. And yes, there's times that you think, will I ever get back to the player I was? And I don't think I ever did. I think I lost a lot in that injury. I think I lost a lot, but I gained mental strength. There's times I could have chucked it easily. But then I thought, what else have you got, Peter? This is your career. You either sink or swim. And I used all up to this day. I still prove that doctor wrong and the surgeon. They was just, I think you should think of another profession, and that pushed me on every day. Yes, I never got to the level I should have, but there's not a lot of people that could say that they became a professional football player and had that injury, So I had to retire, obviously, at 29. But again, I did everything I could to keep playing. But in the end, I stopped playing because I didn't want to have a longer lasting effect in my body.
Speaking about injury, and also earlier you mentioned your relatives you're looking up to and some players. But who are your biggest influence in your playing career? And I also asking this question because of your answer on the previous one, because when you get injured at early age, is some players you can look into during your playing career so you can get influenced by.
There was a player also there, Michael Ball, who had a knee injury. He was at Everton. I think Rangers signed him for 6.5 million. He also had done his knee, and we were kind of doing rehabilitation together, and he was older than me and he was more experienced, maybe more positive than me, He'd be like, come on, son, let's keep going today and push you. Because I'm not going to lie, some days I would think, what's the point, And you're going to have these days. Yeah. And you just got to keep going. There will be light at the end of the tunnel. But it's working on this as well. So important, especially even nowadays. It's with social media and stuff. You need to be mentally strong to deal with setbacks in your life. And yes, my path could have been to the top level, but it veered off to the right, and I still made it at a decent level. Yes, I still think, and I always say, Ian Durant, ex-Rangers player, had a bad knee injury before, and he was an assistant manager at Kilmarnock, and he used to call me, what could have been. What could have been was my name for him. But it's just the way life is. I could have had another knee injury after that, and it could have finished me forever, So I'm happy that I managed to get back to a level to play. And I know people have had 3-4 ACLs and had to finish at a younger age, So there's a negative, but there's also a positive. We always try and look at the positive.
Sure. And there's also and the mentality as well about, you can't control some situations,
I can't change the past. I can't change that tackle. I've got to draw a line under it and move on. I've just got to take the next day. I can't affect, I can only affect the future.
And living in presence as well, and being content when, being lucky with what we've got. Because obviously 100%. If you're always living in the past or, looking always in the future, what you do in the present day is what's going to determine on how you are in the future, So it's about being present and being also content with what you've got and, the cards that you've been dealt with as well.
Yep, 100%. As you say, live every day as if it's your last.
Yeah.
Kind of just talk about a little experience and taking care of experience and so on, but I would go into what kind of failure or apparent failure set you up for a later success? Do you have a favorite failure of yours?
I think looking back now as a coach, I did everything to be a football player, but then watching Netflix documentary about The Last Dance, Michael Jordan, to watching documentaries on Cristiano Ronaldo, I was miles off it. Yes, I was a good technically football player, but that's only part of to being a professional football player. And I said that to a young player today. That's only part. You've got to work on your diet, your nutrition, your mental health, everything. It all comes together. It's not just about being, you're a good football player. There's a bigger package.
It's like football 24/7, right?
Yes, you've got sacrifices. You've got to make sacrifices to be the top. Now, for me, Messi is technically 10 times better than Ronaldo. But Ronaldo has worked so hard. He's worked harder than Messi to get up on level with him.
Yeah.
And that's because of dedication.
Dedication and then consistency as well.
Yeah, it's consistency, yep.
It's quite amazing. And Ronaldo has switched clubs and he's still the player that comes first to training, leaves last, as an example for the younger lads.
He's unbelievable. Honestly, he's I remember Rio Ferdinand did an interview with him. I don't know if you've seen it. And he went to his house in Manchester, and Rio Ferdinand says, Cristiano, who's these people? And I think Cristiano was only 21 at the time or something. He went, oh, that's my nutritionist, that's my psychiatrist, that's my masseuse. He's investing in himself. You know, he's not relying on the club to put these things. He's taking things into his own hands. He's this is his career, you know.
Yeah.
He's doing it for him. You know, Rio Ferdinand ain't going to buy Cristiano Ronaldo a house. Cristiano will buy his own because it's his career, it's his football life, and he's investing in himself with all these people.
Yeah, I think it's another anecdote. Like Patrice Evra is getting invited by Cristiano Ronaldo, and Evra think, oh, we're gonna have a glass of wine, need some good to eat. Cristiano Ronaldo says, here's the salad, and then we play football. Yeah, that's about it.
It was like, I got white rice and chicken, no sauce, nothing.
Yeah, well, speaking of all those people around a football player, when did you interest in being a coach begin, and what did that look like?
When I started to feel the knee problems coming, I remember Oxford, I was 27, I signed. The first season was okay. Second season, I never trained. I would just play on a Saturday, and I would sit on the game ready machine, which is an ice machine, all week, and play the next game. Ice all week to try and get the swelling down, play. I even used to sit on the ice machine on the way to a match. I remember sitting before a warm-up and the doctor trying to drain the fluid out of my knee. Before a game, I'd take tablets. And I remember I took too many tablets and my stomach went into cramp. And I thought to myself, what am I doing to my body? But people don't see that. The fans don't see that. You know, if you have a bad game, the fans think, oh, you're rubbish today. I'm thinking, I've done everything to try and play today, you know. Put my body through. I'm 30% fit. I'm taking painkillers. I'm always one player that I put my hand up. Even if I'm struggling, I'll play if you need me. Inject me. Give me a painkiller. And managers would ask that. And it can annoys me a little bit now. I'm thinking, where are the people if you need a job, you know?
Yeah.
When you've went through, be in the trenches with them, you know? You've done everything to play for them, and you think, yeah, I need a job in coaching. Where are you now? When I went through the pain barrier for you loads of times. So that was the time I got to 29. I think my body's had enough. And I remember going to Iceland. I left England. I thought, maybe I'll go to the cold. Maybe that'll help my knee. Went over there. Knee was like a balloon after 3 sessions. And I thought, right, okay, let's go and try the heat. I went to San Antonio, Texas, see if the heat would help my knee. Knee went like a balloon. I think, right, that's it. So I thought, I'll need to start doing my coaching licenses. So that's when I started to think about it.
Very interesting. I mean, we mentioned a lot of people today. We mentioned Coyne, we mentioned Di Matteo, we mentioned Gaza, we mentioned McCoist, we mentioned Ball, and that's just part of the list. But you've worked obviously with some very influential and successful people, players, managers. What knowledge or piece of advice did you gain from working with people who did succeed? What piece of advice would you transmit to players who want to succeed, who want to take the step and become pros? Besides, you've mentioned the work ethic, etc.
There's a quote that I like to use. Football doesn't need you. You need football. You're easily replaced. Easily replaced as a player and as a coach. I get emails on LinkedIn, 50 players a day. Managers, coaches, how do you get abroad, Peter? How can we get abroad? So for me as a coach, I've got to keep learning. I've got to keep above these people. I can't, if I stand still, there's people always going to pull away from me. So I've got to keep learning every day. And I always say, even the players, football doesn't need you. You need football. Never take it for granted.
Such a cutthroat industry.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. And it's as well like, you know, as well with football, which is quite interesting to many other sports as well, is that, for example, if you're a sprinter and you're the fastest runner, you win the race, you know, but in football, it's all an opinion, you know, and that comes from the debate of who's the best player, Messi or Ronaldo, you know, it's an opinion football. And it's such an interesting game to kind of be involved in because of that.
Yeah. And they always remember the negative. If you've done one thing bad, 10 things good, they'll remember the bad thing that you did.
Yeah.
Just a little one question that comes to mind, Peter. How far can Belarusian football come, taking some of these foreign ideas on board, some of these things that we've discussed here, and opening up a bit? How far could Belarusian football come in the coming years? You've been there, you've seen it close up.
They've got a decent. They've got what, 9 million population in Belarus. Yeah, they've got a good system in place where you can only play 3 foreigners on a pitch, which is good for the league. So you've got to nourish Belarusian players to play.
Yeah.
I just think it's got to stem from the coaches. I always remember that in academies in England, especially Middlesbrough where I've been, they put the best coaches at the bottom, and then they grow from there. And then as they get older, they've learned the best at the bottom. You know, your kid, you take in a lot, you know what I mean? And so they put the best coaches at the bottom. I just don't know where the coaches are because I've only experienced a few. Because obviously I work with Marcel, he's from Czech.
Yeah.
We've got the same European mentality, but it's the coaches. I think grassroots is important for me. You've got to build the foundations and build it up. Here in Russia, yes, there's a lot of money gets thrown about. Again, I think people speak there's only 5 proper academies, which is quite a shame for the size of Russia and the money. There should be proper academies, and here that also you must have an under 21 on the pitch at all times, which is a good thing to develop players. So if you take one off, you must put an under 21 on. So one must play a full 90 minutes. But again, it has to start from grassroots. It has to from the bottom up, and that's I think that's missing.
Can you recall the moment when you jumped into Eastern Europe? First of all, how did that come about? And second of all, what did you expect? And how was that challenged when you landed?
I remember when I was in Scotland, I got offered a new contract with Kilmarnock, and I thought, no, I want to try England. And people were like, why? No, I want to try England. Tried England. Then I became a coach, and then I thought, I want to be a manager in the English Premier League. And I look at the Premier League, and it's mostly foreigners, managers. And I think, well, I might need to go abroad to come back, go away and learn and then come back, something different on my CV. So I got the phone call, spoke to the wife. She's like, brilliant, go and do what you need to do. Very supportive, which is amazing. Little girl, obviously different. She cries, which is normal. But you do it for her in the long run, And I've always accepted, I always want to challenge myself. I want to take myself out that comfort zone, I don't want to get to 50 and go, why didn't I do it? Why did you not go and try it, Peter? If it failed, you can always come back. I always want to go and try different experiences and just go and challenge myself. And that's what I did. We went over, and the first moment I landed, I thought, 2 flights, and then it was a 4-hour drive. I'm thinking, oh, wow, back in Andrew, just live next to an airport. But no, I enjoyed it. Yeah, you know what it's like when you go to a new school or a new job, you're a wee bit hesitant to start with, but then you start getting to know people, and then you start cracking a few jokes, and I still don't think they get my jokes over here, but you know what it's like,
They don't know what a kilt is.
You and this kilt, eh?
He's getting back to that one.
Oh, he's as a player, you love the changing room banter. Even a coach, I still like to go down to the changing room this morning and have a bit of banter with the guys. I can speak a little bit of Russian with them, and that's what I love. The enjoyment of football and the changing room and stuff. So, but no, football speaks so many languages. Yes, I don't speak fluent Russian. I've got a translator, but they know when they've done something wrong when I speak, or they know what you want.
Yeah.
So it's
Prava leva.
Da, prava leva.
Nazad.
Get back. There's a few other swearing words in there.
Yeah. It's a kid-friendly channel.
No, but basically through saying that, what are your most important coaching philosophies, systems, or ideas, and how do you implement them to a team that, doesn't speak English?
Being coachable. You got to buy into what we're trying to do, and the things that I showed the player, 10 things that require zero talent: being on time, attitude, effort. Just these little things that makes a session. You could be the best player in the world, but you could have the worst attitude. Give me an average player with a great attitude, I'll work with him all day. Yeah. You must be receptive to criticism. Again, this player, anybody shouts at him, he goes straight on defensive mode.
Yeah.
And it's not good for him, because then he starts getting when he gets angry, his football brain gets blinded, because he's want to fight with us. Who are you talking to? No, relax, play your football, because when you're tense, your touch is poor.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to get into it, but I kind of designed I talk about fire and ice.
Yeah.
And it's an easy trigger point. When we don't have the ball, we're pressing fire, tempo, hunting in packs, fire, boom, boom, boom. And then when you have the ball, ice, calm, cool, collected. And how quickly you can go between the both transitions, you know?
No, but it was interesting about what you were saying, with, also the beautiful thing about doing I'm also involved in a little bit of coaching now and more of a youth level about, dealing with different players and different players' personalities. Because you do need the guy that's, has the arm around the shoulder, you're all right, 100%. Mate. And then, other people respond better to like, come on, get stuck in,
Man management is so important. And I've always said this, yes, you can be a great coach, but you have to know your players. You have to 100%. Know which players need what. And it's so important to get to know them.
What motivates them as well.
Yes.
It's quite interesting to also, when you first go into a new club, to learn, more about the personal things of a player, and then find out what their motivations are and why they play football even in the first place. And then really being able to use that and, find the best motivational techniques to make them perform and give them the most confidence on the field,
So I did a little exercise with a player the other day, and it was about physical and mental attributes. Mm-hmm. And I says, list me things you need to be a professional footballer. And he's like, fitness. And I says, is that physical or mental? And he's like, physical. I says, okay, so you're doing the bleep test, yeah? Mm. And I says, and you're starting to feel tired, and you go, right, one more run. That's me finished. I say, okay, but what if something bad happens if you don't get to level 15? You get to level 15 because something bad happened to, say, I don't know, your family or something. Yeah. You've got that extra bit in you, no problem. But that little, I don't know if you've read the book, it's called The Chimp Paradox.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do know it, yeah.
It's that little chimp inside your head telling you, oh, you're tired, just stop. But you've always got that extra to go more,
Yeah, and do you know David Goggins as well?
Yes, the American ex-army.
It's like exactly a lot about what he's saying, that the mind gives up, at about 20% of the human's capacity.
Yep.
And that guy, and what he does is absolutely crazy. I'm not saying to go on that level, but, the things that he's speaking about is absolutely true,
It's just maximizing your ability. As I said to you, like, I say to the players, listen, your daughter's standing there shouting at you, come on, you can do extra. Your mind's telling you to give up. I guarantee you can do more.
Yeah. So what are some bad recommendations that you hear in football that could come from, past players that you've been playing with, or, currently in the coaching environment? Is there any that comes to mind?
The blame game. And I've probably done it myself in the past as a player. Like, oh, the manager's not picked me because, or I'm better than him. No, you need to look yourself in the mirror. You need to think, why am I not playing? Don't blame other people. It's so easy to blame other people. I love the guy Eric Thomas. I don't know if you know him, motivational speaker.
Yeah, I do.
And he talks about looking in the mirror and saying, what are you not doing? Stop blaming other people, And I hate that. Oh, the referee was bad. No. Stop blaming the referee. Look at yourself first. I hate the blame game, and I'm trying to tell the players that, go through the translator that way, because obviously it's getting into finer detail. Stop blaming other people and look at yourself first.
But that goes back to as well what we were saying about the uncontrollables.
Yep.
If you're blaming on the things that you can't control, there's nothing you can do about that. What you can control is turning up every day, doing the right work and doing the right things on the pitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Eating, sleeping, doing the right things. And then when you're blaming other things, it puts you into that frame of mind, and then you're not accountable for your actions, basically.
So I said to the player today, where do you want to be? He said, I want to play in Europe, top level. I says, are you doing everything? You're 21. Are you doing everything to get to that level? He says, no. I says, well, there you go. I says, now it's my job and your job to build a platform to get to that level. I said, but first I need to get you in our team, and then we build from that. But you've just told me you want to get to that level, but you don't do everything to get that level. So whose fault's that? My fault or your fault? He said, yeah, it's my fault. I said, so don't blame other people.
Yeah, and the thing is, especially from a personal level about myself, is that a lot of youth players or younger players in Europe at the time don't understand how lucky and fortunate they are to be at a club like yours, or to be at another top academy. The opportunity that they're given, they're on the best pitches, they got the best balls, they got the best coaches around. And then for myself personally, I always say, for example, to kids that I was coaching previously in Holland, your competition is not the other kids here in this academy. Your competition is a kid from Brazil in the favelas who either makes it as a football player and his family can eat, or he's broke on the streets. Family can't eat.
Yeah.
That's your competition. At the moment here, it's beautiful. You got nice lights. You can see the first team stadium across the road. But this, you've got it good. You cannot take this time for granted. And I promise you, if you do, you'll regret it. Because the players over here, they're so fortunate. Even for myself to get over here, it was a 24-hour flight, and it takes you a week to recover from that flight. And they got to realize, and it's hard because obviously when you're young, you're not thinking about those things, but it's in the way that, you can create that environment that in the team, you can bring that motivation from them almost. It's all about the environment that they're in.
I like that answer.
That's what I said today. I said to him, I'm going to be cruel to be kind. I wish I could go back 20 years and tell myself this. You get everything, as you said, you get your kit laid out for you, you get your boots there, you've got your water, your drinks, you've got a masseuse, 2 masseuses, you've got a great pitch after, you've got a towel, you've got a hot shower, then your lunch is prepared for you. You don't realise what you've got. You're getting paid to play football. You're in the 1% of the world. It's a dream job, and it's trying to tell them, like you said, you don't realise until it's gone.
How do you define success, Peter? What does success mean to you? When do I know I've been successful, Peter? Player comes to you. When do I know I've been successful?
When I make him better. When he realises what he's got and what he's in and what he can achieve. I've got another player here who could be Champions League level, and he doesn't realise what he's got. So I've organised for myself a psychologist to work with him, to help him realise his potential. And the other day, he was on the pitch and with a game, and he should have done something quicker. And I shouted, Bistrea, quicker. And he had a go back at me, And I said to him after, I says, you can't take one person shouting at you. How are you going to take 60,000 shouting at you? And I says, you need to work in this. He doesn't go gym, and I'm trying to. He is the best technique and I've seen in a long time. And I've seen some top players, left foot, right foot. He's up there, but he doesn't realise how good he could be if he worked on this.
On the other spectrum of the ball, what recent purchase of $100 or less have you made that impacted your life in the last 6 months positively? I mean, I think people want to hear anything specific, like brands, models.
Oh, I don't know, like $100. I don't know. I send all my money back to my wife.
So maybe that's it. you want to call her? You're allowed one caller.
Oh, hello. Who wants to be a millionaire? The thing I bought recently was a hard drive for my laptop, which I needed because the last one broke, and I needed a hard drive for all my documents and stuff. But that was the last thing I bought, about $100 to be fair.
Very important as well.
Yeah, I need that for all my trainings and stuff. Yeah,
To carry your data. Yeah.
yeah, everything.
Good.
Well, I don't know if you can buy a gigantic billboard, but if you could, anywhere, or metaphorically speaking, getting a message out to millions or billions of people, what would it say and why?
Oh, I have a quote on my back and my tattoo, which I love, and I kind of try and live by it. And it's what you do in life echoes in eternity, and it's from the film Gladiator. And I always want to, even when I played, I always try to do things on a pitch that people would remember me for in years to come, even when I retire, like at Oxford. Hopefully they'll remember me for that goal, you know. When I was at MK Dons, hopefully they remember me for some great things. I did a Panenka. I remember I chipped the goalkeeper and stuff, and I always try to do things to leave my name lasting at that club, you know, and hopefully at Belarus and Dynamo Brest, people will remember my name for Peter was assistant manager who won us the league. Will they ever win the league again? I doubt it. I hope they do, but I doubt it. So I always try to live by that tattoo. I want my name to be, when I'm gone, people will still remember me.
Well, I think that also, you know, goes back to the time you're involved in a charity event as well with the soldiers overseas.
Help for Heroes, yep.
Yeah, and you know, obviously, you know, your name was along with that, but you know, what an amazing cause as well.
Yeah, no, these things, I've done a few other things that I don't like to be like, oh, Peter's doing a charity, you know, I don't do it for the name, you know what I mean? But I just seen like when soldiers coming back from conflict and depression and they had limbs missing and stuff, and I thought, wow, you know, I'm in a position where I could raise money for them and help, and I came up with the idea that every goal we scored, I would donate £10, and every game we played, and the fans backed it, and one of the bookmakers backed it, and I had kids swimming, doing charity for it as well, and it was a great thing. And the army came down for the game, and I managed to score that game, and I just think we can help one another. You know, there's people out there who might not, who are embarrassed to ask for help, which I think. My phone's always open for anybody. I said it on Twitter. If anybody's struggling these days in coronavirus, current times, I can help you and talk, or I can pass you on somebody who can help you. But we've got to help each other. We've got to speak. There's too many people who are losing their lives over mental health problems, and it's just sad to see. And if I can help in any way, I'm available.
Yeah, and I think as well, like you know, especially at the top, you know, how much money players are making at the very top of football. I think it's so important for clubs to kind of give back to the community, and that the players are involved in that, because they're so idolized, you know, and they have a big platform that you know, if they can bring awareness to certain issues like, you know, you have done yourself. I think that could kind of be should be mandatory for players, especially, you know, that are on those big salaries and have that kind of following.
Bravo Rashford, for example, recently. That was taking on the establishment, taking on Parliament.
Fantastic. And would they have listened to someone in a post office, you know, worked in a post office? No, but fair play to Marcus, he's done it. And I think there's a lot of people who do it, who don't want recognition, you know, and push for things, and fair play to them. And as I say, we need to help each other. It can be a cruel world sometimes. And as I said, I'm on Twitter, and if anybody struggling, I'm always here for a chat.
Oh, that's really great. It's really great.
I'm going to call you later.
I'll put my kilt on for you, right?
That'll do it.
All right. Let's get back to money once again. No, but still, what's one of the best or most worthwhile investments you ever made? And it doesn't have to be money. It's kind of something you put in time,
energy, nerves.
Oh wow! think that I'm going to go time, and it's time spending with my daughter. When I left Belarus, I had a great 9 months. Yes, we were on COVID, but I was a full-time dad again. You know, I had that precious time with her, and I knew the time would come. I'd need to go away again, and it's tough. I'm not going to lie to you. There's times I sit in the room and cry. Not afraid to say it. I miss her, miss the wife as well. But hopefully she knows that I do it for her. You know, I want a better life for her. I want to be successful. I want her to be proud of her dad. So that 9 months where I wasn't working, it was great to be a dad and a husband again. But hopefully one day she knows I do it for her.
In the last 5 years, what have you become better at saying no to? What new realizations and or approaches helped? Or do you have any other tips for time management?
What I've got better at is not speaking when I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after like if you lose a game and you're a bit hot-tempered, and I think is to say things when emotional. You know, you start saying things that you don't really mean, then you think, or you watch the game back, and you think, oh, we actually weren't as bad as we thought. You know, I'm learning to think before we speak. You know, take my time, think, okay. Also think if someone's having a debate or an argument, and think, okay, right, why is he saying this? I'll put myself in their shoes. You know, before when I was younger, I would just be quick-witted and snap. But I think, okay, take my time, think, why is he saying this to him, or why is he saying this to me? Is he thinking this? You know, so I'll put myself in a scenario where they are, and I'll try and be calm and rectify the situation. Or, as I said, I won't speak in a red mist. I'll always try and speak with a clear mind.
And to take time to kind of process all the information. And
Yes.
Going back to what you said about the chimp part of the brain as well.
Yeah, the chimp wants to attack.
Yeah.
You know, the chimp in there
all
wants
emotional,
to attack.
all
Yes.
emotional, you know, and then
Yes.
going back into the, you know, more circuit part of the brain, you know, and process all the information before you kind of make a quick reaction or a quick decision.
It's attack
you know?
mode, isn't it? It's what I was when I was younger. I don't know if it was the Glasgow boy in me, you know, growing up, and that was just attack, be defensive. And now I'm a little bit more calm. And
yeah, well, that part of the brain as well is associated with the fight, flight, or freeze model.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Psychology 101.
We're all wearing kilts.
Eating haggis. Even as a player, I was so not angry. I was angry as a player. Yes, I was. I was an angry player, but I just wanted to win so bad, you know. But as a coach, you need to change. You need to adapt. You know, I remember.
Well, there's also a fine line as well of a player being angry, because I think on the field, you know, being aggressive is important, but there's always obviously a line, you know.
Yeah. I always say to players, there's a fine line being confident and arrogant as well.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
You know, but I just wanted to win so bad, and there's times I got too uptight, and the football brain never worked. You know, because you're so determined, and yet the football brain's gone. You know, so. But as a coach, you need to work calmer. And I remember a time when I was in Dynamo Brest, there was a player, striker, who was having a nightmare, and I tried the opposite with him at half time and say, "Hey, you're doing great. I need you hold it up a bit better, but you're doing fantastic. Try and reverse psychology." And I seen the players looking at me thinking, "He's not doing great." But I just tried to kind of flip it a little bit, see if I get a reaction the other way. But no.
Come on.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah.
No, but bringing it back to what you said as well, you know, about when talking about high performance, they speak about, you know, the best way to learn, the best way to perform at a high level is in flow states. You know, and that's, you know, it could be also called being in the zone or being in the pocket. And that is to kind of get rid of those emotional attachments in the brain and work into more the computer areas of your brain. Because when you've obviously been a professional, you have certain circuits that work during a game or during training. and emotions just can kind of get in the way of that.
Yeah, it's an emotional game. And
Yeah.
I always say to players and staff, never get too high, never get too low.
Yeah.
Because you're up and down like a roller coaster.
But you can see that also with like pressure as well. For example, if you get a certain player making a pass in a stadium with 60,000 fans, simple 10-meter pass, maybe he misses it. Whereas in training, when no one's watching, it's every single time. It's kind of getting out of that frame of mind of emotions and letting just the computer part of the brain kick in and work.
Yeah. As I said, football for me is a mental game.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel often overwhelmed or unfocused, or have you lost your focus temporarily? What do you do to bring yourself back into presence when these situations happen?
The only time when I'm kind of unfocused is when you're out of a job. The last, before I came here, I had 8 months, out of a job, and I'm thinking, you start thinking down to yourself, will you get back in? Where am I going to go? And it was difficult because when you're out of a job, you usually go into clubs and watch training, but because of COVID, you couldn't go into other clubs and learn, and everything was online, and you couldn't go and meet people and network. It was like, wow, how do I get back in here? And it was difficult because obviously, ideally, I would have liked to have stayed in the UK. But as you say, you don't realise how lucky we are, and I've got a job in a good country at a good level, good standard. So there's negatives that I'm away from home, but also there's a positive. I'm working. There's probably better coaches out there than me. Not a lot, Tony. Okay, not a lot, right? But who can't get a job?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And it's tough, and I've had people text me, and I've texted them in the past, and how do I get back in? Do you know anybody who can help me get over there? And I don't think us as British people, coaches, we travel well. If you look in America and Europe, there's German coaches, there's Croatian coaches everywhere. Now, I think I was the first British coach in Belarus, maybe. And I don't know how many British coaches have been in Russia.
Yeah.
So it's probably, I don't know how many. I can't remember off the top of my head how many people have been here. So I'm in a small bracket of doing things that people have never done before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And do you think why like English coaches or even players maybe don't travel so well as well? Because say for example in European countries, if you speak Spanish, for example, you understand Italian, you maybe understand some French, or in Russia, there's obviously a lot of countries connected with the Russian language, or that speak Russian as a second language. Do you think that's maybe, something as well, a topic or something that's a reason for that?
Maybe. I went to Belarus and I was thinking, wow, nobody speaks English. Yeah. And then I thought, wow, Peter, how ignorant is that? I'm in their country.
Yeah.
I actually speak their language. Why should they speak my language? I'm in their country. So it's maybe that people in Britain expect everybody to speak English.
I was exactly the same. At 18 years old, I moved from New Zealand to Italy.
Yeah.
For the first time. And I generally thought in Europe, everyone had their own languages, but everyone spoke English.
Yeah.
And, that realization came very quickly, very, very quickly. The coach couldn't even say hello.
Wow. I think that's what's good about the Scottish FA on the pro license. That's part of the pro license. You must learn another language, which opens up more doors and it helps.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So you chose Cockney. Peter, we've heard a lot about you. We've touched on the subject a lot. You've said a lot of interesting things regarding performance, regarding success, regarding work ethic, filing down the egoism. You've definitely given us some really good insights there. For you, what makes the difference in levels in this profession, that is the coaching profession, and the profession of a player?
How bad do you want it? I always say to them, how bad do you want to get to the top? What is your sacrifice? I said before, talent will get you so far. It's the other part that will get you to the top. And I say to young players every day, you train for 2 hours a day, yeah, maximum. What are you doing for the rest of the 22 hours? What are you doing? Yeah, just sleeping for a part. But are you reading books? Are you, even at Kilmarnock, we had a young team in the Premier League in Kilmarnock. Me and the manager, we organised a cook school for the players, for the young players, to teach them how to cook better. For nutrition, we had one player trying to cook mince in a microwave. I was like, that's it. We need to go cook school and just teach them. It's a full package, and I'm trying to do it here. I do a lot of one-to-ones. I do a lot of. I've got a player going to a psychologist to try and get him better mentally, and I've got a player, hopefully, another player to get go and speak English. And you want to play in Europe? Okay, do you speak English? No, we'll go and learn. No, I'm trying to drive that into them to get better every day, not just as a player, but as a person. And that's the full package for me.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about like how bad do you want it, like as well, for example, for this player that you mentioned that he wants to go play in Europe, like you got to imagine as well that for the business or the industry that we're kind of involved in, like you going into another club is like you've got to want it, like you're taking food basically off the player that you're replacing's table, for their family, and it's that it is that ruthless, in
it's
the
dog eat
football
dog.
world.
We're in a team game, but it's dog eat dog.
Yeah, it's so cutthroat and so ruthless, and that's literally got to be your mentality when you're going in somewhere. You're taking the food off that person's family's plate, and that's just the reality of how football is.
Yeah, it's as you said, it's cutthroat, and yes, we're in a team sport, but that guy ain't going to pay your mortgage. That guy ain't going to pay your bills. It's only you. Only you can do that.
What does game insight mean to you?
Knowledge, understanding, game insight. I'll give you a player, Pirlo. He just knows what's around him. He knows what's happening in the pitch. He knows when the tempo needs to be brought down. He knows when the tempo needs to be brought up. Wasn't the quickest players. No. I remember when they played against England, and he ran the show. Absolutely run the show. And from a player, yes, Pirlo would be game insight, just knowing the knowledge of the game and when to bring the tempo down, when to play, who to play with. And as a coach, game insight is knowing, not cutting corners. Myself and Marcel, we do video. I think it's easier for us because we don't have family here. Yeah. We can spend a lot of time in the office at video. We don't. Yes, we'll make a phone call back to our family, but we're studying everything. And there's no stone unturned. And a player can never turn around and say, "Oh, you never told us about this player, or we never did that." And, nah, we are 100% in it here because, as I said, we've not got the family here, and that was probably the same in Belarus. We never had the family, and what game understanding and knowledge was at the top level, to be fair.
So would you say like the attention to the finer details?
Details, yeah, because we had time on our hands. We never had kids running about with ankles or taking aunties and uncles for dinner, or we were first focused on football. You've got that distraction, and it's quite good here because at home games they stay in a hotel, and I was in UK home games. You're always in your own bed and stuff, but no, he's quite on it, to be fair. Marcel, he's like, no, I want a team together because I don't want any distractions like the wife going, I'm going to my mum's, come on, we're going there for dinner. No, you're in a hotel, you're focused on the game, and that's it.
Thanks for coming on and talking to us, Peter. It's really interesting. I mean, you definitely have a very unique career path that we're all very much looking forward to seeing unfold now. And good luck with Orenburg this season. I know you guys are following your philosophy. You want it bad, and you're going to take it. I really hope so. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And it's been great to chat to you. And we look forward to having you in our new social media platform again in the future. Any parting thoughts for the audience?
No, thank you. As I said, if anybody's out there and they want to get in contact, I'm on social media. Keep believing. If your dream is football, whatever, keep believing. You don't know how close you are till that door opens up. Never give up. And as I said, enjoy yourself and just keep going. The door will open up, and it's sunny in Russia now, which is fantastic. So I'm enjoying it over here.
Life is great.
Life is, honestly, it's went from winter to summer like that. Someone's just turned a switch. It's incredible. It was like minus 33 weeks ago. Now it's plus 20.
Oh my God.
It's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Brilliant, guys.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
David, thank
thanks,
you.
Peter.
Jesse,
Really nice to meet you as well.
Top man, guys. Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.